Welcome back, and thank you for joining me. Greyboard Gamer here with another series of playthrough videos. This time I'll be playing Galaxy Defenders by Ares Games. Let's crack this box open and get it set up. Inside the box are two very large books. First we have a rule book. It's broken down into several sections detailing each aspect of the gameplay. And then we also have the storybook, which has a campaign series of missions that the players have to go through. And we'll be starting with Mission 1, Close Encounters. First thing we do is we look in the storybook to figure out which game board or game boards that we're going to put together to play that scenario. And we're going to use boards 1 and 2. The game has double-sided boards, and the game itself comes with 6 double-sided boards for various combinations, but for this beginning entry scenario, we'll be using 1 and 2. We're going to collect 7 of these signal tokens that are all the same on the back. 7 are going to be alien, and 1 is going to be human. Then we're going to flip all of those and give them a good mix so we don't know which ones are which. Now that our signal reserve is mixed up, we're going to set it up according to the game board that is in the story booklet and place 2 of them in the locations that it tells us to. And then the rest will be off to the side and used whenever we need to draw a new signal. Next we will take this armory token and place it on the board as specified during the setup. And what happens is when the players reach this token, they're able to obtain additional weapons during the mission. Next we'll put down our 4 teleportation symbols. This is where enemies will come onto the game board. We set them up in the locations once again specified by the map layout in the storybook. Then the last one goes right there. Next we have the 4 fire tokens that will be placed off to the side and used whenever one of these teleportation areas is destroyed. Next we have these 2 pieces of terrain, these berms that are not passable, as you can tell by the dashed line around the outside edge of them, and they also block line of sight during the game, as do these berms here. And these are also placed on the game board in accordance with the setup for the specific scenario. This alien here is a blue Xeno Beta, and he is on the board at the beginning of this scenario, right above this teleporter here. And then we have a green spine critter who is also on the game board at the beginning of this scenario, and he is located just to the side of the teleporter with the alien skull symbol. Since those 2 aliens are out at the beginning of the scenario, their cards will also come into play, one for the Xeno Beta and one for the spine critter, and these cards will be assigned to one or more of our characters that we're going to be playing with, but we'll do that after we select our agents for the mission. Next we'll create our deck of aliens, and the rulebook specifies there's going to be 2 Xeno Betas, green, 1 blue, and then another green spine critter and 2 blue spine critters for this mission, and these will get shuffled up and put into a draw pile. Next we'll create the Close Encounter deck, and these numbers in the corner are specified by the setup for the scenario as to how many of each type you're going to add to the pile. And then there's one additional card for the Xeno Alpha that is put off to the side and only comes into play when called for by a specific event card. These will get shuffled and also put into a draw pile. And finally, our last draw pile will be the event deck, and these also have designators at the top, letters that the scenario will lay out how to set these up in a very specific way and create a draw pile for these also. Now we have our character tiles, which there are 10 of them to choose from. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do this as a 3-player mission. This particular mission can be played with between 1 and 5 agents, so I'll play it with 3, and I'm going to shuffle these and randomly choose 3 to play with. The first agent that got selected was Agent Mercury, an Infiltrator, and I'll go over briefly what each of the items on this character tile are, and I'll get into more depth in them during the gameplay. Of course, you have the name and class. Then we come over here and we have these 2 spots for basic and improved tactics, and those are items that can be gained during promotions throughout the gameplay that can be carried over into other missions. They have an ability that they start with. They have a primary weapon and a secondary weapon. And again, we'll get into more details on what all these symbols mean. Armor. And then there is also starting health and starting movement. And this is the first character that we'll be using. Next, I randomly selected Agent Thorium, a biotech agent. And again, they're very diverse characters and they have different abilities that can help out the team in different ways. This character is more like a team medic. The previous one was more like a hand-to-hand combat expert. And then finally we have Agent Titanium, a Hulk class. You can see by the large amount of health and minimal movement, this is more of a tank-like character. Heavy weapons, armor, lots of ways to defend itself. So those are our 3 characters that we have that we're going to play through this initial introductory mission. According to the storybook and the setup rules for this particular mission, each agent gets to start with one of these devices. Some of them are generic. Like here you can see this is just a generic one that can go with any character class. And then there are others that are character class specific, such as the sentry gun, and that one can only be used by the biotech class. So I need to look through this large pile of items, and I'm going to pick one for each of our 3 characters. For the Infiltrator, I chose the medic kit because she's going to do a lot of hand-to-hand combat and is probably going to take wounds that she's going to need to heal. For the biotech agent, I chose the sentry gun. That is a class specific one for him, and that allows him to set up an autonomous sentry gun. It's not totally autonomous because the biotech agent would still have to use his action in order for that to perform an attack. And for our Hulk Agent Titanium, I chose ammo magazines so he can replenish his ammo to use his area effect more often with his heavy weapon that he has here. And then all that, how ammo gets used and how the area effect works, will all get explained during gameplay. The initial setup of our agents will go in these 5 hexes here. As you can see, there's a thick, bold white line around a group of 7 hexes, and that is designated as an area, and each of the centers of the area have this like crosshairs target, and that'll get explained also during the movement phase to show you how that the aliens move versus how the agents move. but our agent's starting area is these 5 hexes here. First, I'll put down our Hulk with his ridiculously large Gatling gun looking thing. And I'll put him out front since he has the most health and the biggest weapon. Next we'll use our Infiltrator agent. That's our melee combat character. She has a small sidearm for a weapon, and then the blades that she uses. We'll place her down here. And then finally we have our biotech agent, who is kind of like our combat medic, and he's the one that's able to set up the sentry gun. We'll put him near the rear of the formation here. And then when he does deploy his sentry gun, the game comes with a mini for that also, for him to be able to set up on the board. That'll be off to the side for now until he uses it. As I stated at the beginning of the setup, these 2 aliens that are already out on the game board, they have an AI that controls them, but each of the creatures gets assigned to one of the agents. So I'll take their card, and I already randomly selected the spine critter, which is the green one down here. His card will be next to Agent Mercury, our Infiltrator, and our Xeno Beta, our blue alien over here, is going to be with our biotech agent. And they'll be controlled by them, and it's up to the player to use the AI in the most effective manner that would benefit the aliens at that time, because you're controlling them, using them to attack. So you don't want to set yourself up so that the players have an easy time during their round. And also over here I've got the rounds set up for each of the agents' weapons, their primary weapons. Agent Mercury, the Infiltrator, whose blades don't have any ammunition, and the sidearms don't contain any ammunition either. There are no health tokens, but there are wound tokens. So these go on the characters as they get wounded to show that they've taken damage. And then for the armor, if they have armor shields or energy armor, there are armor tokens to help designate that also. And there's a whole large box that I have of tokens for the game that come into play during various missions and different scenarios and different things that happen. That concludes my very basic run through of the setup. Again, each setup will be different depending on the scenario. It'll completely change the layout, what pieces are where, how many aliens are out. So all that's going to change, and if the video series doesn't go too long, I'll go through more than one scenario so you can see the changes and what happens as the characters carry their abilities over into each of the scenarios as we go throughout the game. Everything's set up to go for this initial scenario. Go ahead and get started. See you in the next one.